I'm Sara Bon-Harper. I'm the Executive Director here at James Monroe's Highland. Highland was James Monroe's home from 1799 to 1823 and is the site of great new archaeological and historical discoveries this year. Highland was given to the College of William and Mary at the death of the last private owner in 1974 and has been a part of William and Mary ever since. We have lots of fruitful relationships there, many of them surrounding the legacy of James Monroe and how do we further the public understanding of this founding father who was in fact an alumnus of William and Mary. This has been an exciting year here at James Monroe's Highland. We made two big announcements. The first is that we returned to the name that James Monroe used for his property, which is in fact Highland. For a long time the property was known as AshLawn, which is a name going way back into the 19th century. And then it was AshLawn-Highland in most recent decades. And our reclaiming of the name Highland is really in order to focus most clearly on James Monroe and his legacy. So James Monroe's Highland really makes it clear that we're investigating and really shedding light on the legacy of this important figure in U.S. history.
At first it was, let's design a logo. So we spent a significant amount of time coming up with really a design that we thought embodied the spirit of the property. And we took some cues from Monroe's own hand. We use a signature that is modeled after Monroe's signature. We did use a silhouette of Monroe's, the bust that we have here on the property of Monroe. So we incorporated these along with the name Highland to come up with a logo that we felt really was respectful of Monroe the man, the property Highland, and would be something that would represent us in the future.
The other piece that we added this year, our second big announcement, is a real transformation of our understanding of this site, where we discovered a really nice set of archaeological remains here in the ground behind me. And through the science of dendrochronology or tree ring dating, we examined the rest of the site and found that the standing house, which we thought for years was a remnant wing of that original 1799 main house, is actually James Monroe's 1818 presidential guest house, a building that he built to house people who visited him or maybe came with him when he came here from Washington. And so the main house is here in the ground, it's waiting for us, and it really marks a new phase of discovery here at Highland and transforms how we understand the architecture that we have in front of us. We put this information together from a variety of sources. There were documentary records that kind of raised some questions. We knew, for example, that the main house had two wings, two kind of rectangles stuck together. And it's pretty obvious that the standing house here is just one of those wings or rectangles. And so we knew, or we thought we knew, that there was another piece missing. And so we really went looking for that other piece. We didn't know which side of the house it was on. So we dug all the way around the main house, because if you dig just where you think you're going to find something, you really just validate your assumptions, right? And so we dug all the way around, and here in the ground behind me is where we found some really significant architectural remains, which are the foundations of that main house. And how we were able to identify the foundations as the 1799 main house came from dendrochronology, using tree ring dating to assess the building that we already have here. And we found that since that didn't date to 1799 but dated to 1818, that it must be that presidential guest house, or James Monroe's house for lodgers, as he called it, in a September 6, 1818 letter to his son-in-law, where he talks about having a new house. He says, just below the present one. It is 2 rooms. And he talks about the timeline of finishing it, and he, in fact, he even talks about the enslaved men who did the work of actually constructing it. One of the central pieces of this discovery about the property is really the potential that it has to re-examine how we interpret history. Here it is, history, these stories, these narratives in the making, and we are ready to engage all our visitors in the efforts to find new knowledge, interpret it, and then present it to the public. So there are all kinds of preservation questions that are on our doorstep, and we're ready to jump in and say, how do we bring the public into this phase of discovery? What choices will we make about interpreting the house once we have fully explored it? The whole visitor experience has been reformatted, where we no longer give a house tour as such. We give a site tour or a guided site visit where we have several stops and we talk really within the framework of the property about the process of delving into history, where we stop and look at this 1799 house site, we go into the 1818 house, we have some other exhibit spaces. Archaeology will be ongoing here. Once we get it rolling, we hope that it will go on for some months in multiple seasons. It will be really a major point of engagement for people here, where they can come and ask questions and see the discoveries in real time. And we think that will be of significant interest. Research really underpins the quality at all of the historic sites in the presidential precinct. And being here to experience it is like watching something unfold in real time. And I hope that every time someone visits, if they visit frequently, they're always learning something new.